Kayla Curtin. I'm a talent acquisition business partner here at Icon. And then if you could please introduce yourself and your role here at Icon, we can get started.
Cool. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. My name is Helen Yardley. I'm a senior VP, and I head up the Global Clinical Operations Group at Icon.
Amazing. Senior VP, if you could tell me a little bit more about your day-to-day in that role and what your position looks like here at Icon.
I oversee a global team. I have around 4,000 people globally, consisting of CRAs, CTAs, managers, TMF staff. I basically work with lots of levels of staff across all regions, and I also interact cross-functionally with other departments. So basically what that means is that I have a lot of interaction with a lot of people on a day-to-day basis.
Yes, absolutely. It definitely sounds like you are someone that we are all very familiar with and work with often. So thank you for all that you do here at Icon. We connected via a message that was sent to the Dawn community group here at Icon, one of our ERG groups. Can you tell me more about this community group and your experience in the Dawn group at Icon?
Sure, I'd love to. It is a cause that I'm very passionate about. I'm going to take a step back. About 6 or 7 years ago, so sorry, my total step back here. I am a parent of a child with disabilities, and I work long hours, and I feel that I don't really have time to find support groups to talk about the challenges that I face with my kids. And one day I was meeting with a group of people at Icon, and I realized I wasn't the only person, the only parent with a kid with special needs. So what that resulted in, and this is about now 6 or 7 years ago, is that we got a group together of parents of children with special needs at Icon. We met informally. We kind of chatted about our kids. We chatted about our challenges, and I found it very helpful to me. It was to see that other people in same kind of roles also had the same kind of private situation going on. A couple of years later, this was around 2020, it's when Icon really started getting very assertive as a company looking at our DIB initiatives. And they were looking for members to start up diverse disability inclusion belonging groups. Of course, with my background, it made sense to me to volunteer for the disability group. And actually, all the parents that I was working with, they also came and joined me in the disability group. And that's how the Dawn Disability Awareness Network was formed. I ended up leading the group for about 18 months. And now I think it's about 4 years later, we started with around 10, 15 people. We're about 100 people that have joined the group and are either allies or members of the group.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much for talking me through the backstory. It's exciting to hear that you were, so involved before it was even something that we had labeled or created. And really, we're a part of initiating that from day one. I think it is so important to have support groups and people that you make a community with within your work. Like you said, we spend so much time working, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
great to have that here, and to hear about your involvement there. So since you have been around since day one with Dawn, what are some of your favorite initiatives that are at the Dawn group within Icon?
Wow, that's a good question. I'd have to say there are probably too many to elaborate on here, but maybe if I pick out one or two. Last year in 2023, in October, we did we celebrated the Invisible Disability Week, and the symbol for invisible disability is a sunflower. We had all 60 countries in Icon involved in this initiative. Everybody got on board with it. It was fantastic. They all had sunflowers in their offices, baked sunflower cakes. They got sunflower pens, sunflower writing blocks, sunflower frames, and took pictures of themselves in sunflower frames. So it was a huge, huge success. And it was just the fact that everybody, unaware that this actually existed, all of a sudden got on board and celebrated Invisible Disability Week. Light It Up Blue is early April. So we have an initiative whereby we get countries to send us pictures of their famous buildings that are lit up in blue: Sydney Opera House, Empire State Building, etc. So those are two. that I can name, but there are lots of other things that are good fun to get involved in, but also very informative.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the outreach of the initiatives. And like you said, it's beyond just the group itself. Everyone gets involved. I remember the sunflowers all over in my office that I'm in. And I know everyone still talks about it, about that being such a wonderful experience. And it's so fun to come in and share that together. So that really, really is special. Um, and in your opinion, what does it take for a company like Icon to really build a culture of inclusion and belonging, sort of going off of that point?
I mean, Icon is a big company. We're what, 43,000 people globally at the moment. I would say the things that it takes would be time. Doesn't happen overnight. It takes patience and maybe perseverance. Um, I think what needs to happen, or what has happened at Icon quite successfully, I think, is that we took a top-down and a bottom-up approach. So we had a lot of support from executive leaders. It requires a lot of effort by members. I mean, this is something that we do in addition to our day job. We have to be passionate about it. So it does involve investment of time. It does involve advocates and allies alike. I think it involves an absolute no tolerance policy, which has to be enforced. I think it involves a willingness to try new things. And I think that's somewhat difficult in a corporation that has guidelines on how to do things. I'll talk about that maybe a little later. But I think we have to lead the way, go the untrodden path, and training. I do think it involves training and requires training, particularly people leader training.
Yeah. Absolutely. Like you said, we are such a large company. So I think it is great that this is something that already exists and is something that is really bought into by everyone here for us to create these groups and see them be successful. So I think that your thoughts on that are very true to form for making sure that we are creating that kind of a culture. Just in your personal experiences, how comfortable are you talking about your personal experiences in the Dawn or Icon group?
I have to confess, within the Dawn group, I'm okay because I feel I'm amongst like-minded people. When it comes to the broader Icon group, it's honestly hit and miss. Um, I do feel somewhat reluctant. I'll give you an example. You go into meetings, you start the meeting and you're just kind of shooting the breeze and touch your base. And how was your weekend? And everybody tends to say what their kids are doing. It's graduation season, so my kid's graduating from XYZ. And I'm thinking, yeah, my kid's that age, but my kid's never going to graduate from university or from school, not in the traditional setting, and it really hurts. So what do? Do you just listen, which I tend to do? I listen and nod and say, "That's great and congratulations." Do you kind of put a downer on the conversation, saying, "Yeah, Emma, my daughter, wish she would graduate, but unfortunately she can't," or do you just, say, "Yep, Emma's going to be graduating as well." It really depends on the day, but it is hard for me. Speaking about a kid with different abilities, when everybody is focusing on their typical kids.
Yeah, I absolutely understand that. It uh, can be situational sometimes of when you feel comfortable or like it is, that time for you to bring up and share personally, which is, why me and my involvement in community groups, I have really enjoyed having that resource and that group of people that you can go to and you come out of a meeting where maybe you didn't share that and then you can go and chat with somebody else and talk about your personal experiences and
Yeah.
feel seen and understood. Yeah, absolutely. So with all of that being said, where do you see an opportunity for Icon to further expand its DIB efforts, its diversity, inclusion, and belonging?
I have to say, I think Icon has made a really good start. I mean, I think our approach, packing the bulls by the horn, um, elaborating on several of the DIB groups, I think we've made a fantastic, fantastic start. But I also think it is the tip of the iceberg. And I don't think the work is ever really going to be done until the workforce evolves to such an extent that you might not even have to talk about disabilities, that everybody is a fully inclusive environment. And I'm sorry, I mentioned disabilities, but of course it expands to other groups beyond disabilities, gender and race, religion, etc.
No, I absolutely agree. I think, we are definitely getting the ball rolling here and trying to make an impact and make these changes, but there is always room to grow and to learn and to continue to make a more inclusive environment and to be knowledgeable of that. Like you said, rolling out trainings and growing in the awareness will just continue to grow in the numbers of people who are making these efforts. And so hopefully we will get to a place where like you said, it's not necessary anymore and we just are one fully inclusive community. That would be the dream for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, agree.
Um, well, for you, how do you see, your career advancing here at Icon and within the Dawn community group at Icon?
Um, on that one, I would say I don't think my career and the Dawn Community Group really are related. Now, I think being a member of a diversity, inclusion, equity group shouldn't be a requirement to advance your career. But of course, I think it helps people become a more balanced people leader if you do have that insight into a diverse group of people that you manage. I think one thing that ICON does really well is if I look at our core values, inclusion is part of our core values. But I think inclusion goes beyond the word inclusion, but also acceptance of diversity. So I think that needs to be core and instrumental to anybody who wants to work and advance at ICON. All the people leaders should be able to exhibit the behavior of inclusion and acceptance of diversity in their mindset and in their behaviors. Because I think being inclusive and being tolerant of others, whether it's in disabilities, towards religion, race, minorities, the LGBTQ community, etc. I think that's at the foundation of us being a strong, good company. There you go.
Yes, I agree completely. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that one step that we have certainly taken in the right direction is creating these groups and giving them a voice within the company, and hopefully it continues to grow from there. But hearing your experiences and everything that you've been involved in, both from your professional job title and position here, but also within Dawn, is really wonderful to hear. So thank you so much for taking the time to share and to chat with me about it today.
Pleasure. Thanks for asking the questions and allowing me to share my views.